So here we go. First podcast on video.
Interesting times. I'm going to have a sip of my tea because you'll be able to see that visually as well. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear this.
You'll also hear me tap the mic. We've got 3 mics on the go. We've got this one for visual purposes.
Yeah,
that's
this
not plugged in.
For benefit of the listeners, there's just a stranded microphone in the middle of me and Alan that isn't working, but it looks good, and that's the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. So this is in my we're doing this podcast from my garden in my new Zen den.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your crib.
We've called it Bolo.
What was Bolo mean again?
Bolo Zenden.
Bolo Zenden, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that might not kind of ring any bells for anybody.
No, for all you Middlesbrough fans out there, Bolo Zenden basically won us our only ever cup in, what year was it?
Oh, 2001 or 2000, something like that. I think so, or 2004.
Maybe.
I'm sure someone will correct us if they're listening from Middlesbrough.
Yeah, so anyone who is from Middlesbrough, then just correct us without us knowing, because there's no other ways and means of us knowing.
Do it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Put a comment below on what year did Bolo Zenden score that penalty in the Carling Cup, was it?
Yeah, and if whoever answers it correctly gets a prize.
Of?
Which I haven't decided yet. But a mug.
This mug?
That mug there.
These are like fancy, like quirky. Oh, what are they? They're almost like a Yorkshire.
I think we should eventually have some Mindfood podcast mugs. And we'll have a little bit of product placement there because we've got the video running now.
Well, we're working on a new logo, aren't we?
So we'll have the little head on.
Yeah.
And we'll if people would wish to purchase them, all proceeds will go back into the podcast.
Yeah. Each mug will cost about £10,000.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
That'll pay.
I think it'll. I mean, we just want to live off the mugs, don't we? Our mortgage wants to be paid off by mugs. And if you buy it for £10,000, you are essentially a mug yourself.
Well, all we need to do is sell maybe six mugs a year. So it's 30 grand a year. That'll do.
And I suppose it's eco-friendly because you're not polluting the environment with lots of porcelain.
Yeah.
So we're kind of helping the world really by selling them at a high price.
Yeah.
People will look after them more and be less likely to throw them out and pollute the environment because seagulls got their legs trapped in mugs apparently. Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, and they can't fly away and they die.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what the seagull said to me when he came and said hello to me yesterday.
Anyway, should we keep some focus on the podcast rather than our minds going all off on many tangents?
It's a bit like a kind of very basic early mindfulness session where our conversation replicates our kind of
the wandering mind. Yeah, and as we settle into the podcast, i.e. the meditation, the mind becomes more focused.
Did Alan gently refocused our mind to the present? And
so should we do that? Should we have that as the focus of today's podcast?
Yeah.
Is let our mind wander where it goes, and one of us, when we notice it's wandered too far, let's bring it back. What do we bring it back to? Because in meditation you bring it back to the breath. So what would we bring it back to?
The conversation is the breath. The topic is the breath.
Is breathing.
Is the anchor.
Yeah. So let's start with breathing, right? Breathing's like...
And the podcast is run through anchor. Don't know if that's any kind of weird...
Yeah.
That symbolism there.
Anyway, let's come back to the breath.
Gently bring us back, that's it, with compassion. And
do you know any weird facts around breathing?
If you stop, you die.
That's true. And if you keep going, then you keep living.
Yeah. I think that's technically true. I bet you nobody knew that. I bet there's people falling off the chairs now. Gasping.
For?
More knowledge.
So why don't we... seeing as though we're in the Zen den, seeing as though we're in Bolo. Oh, that's a bit weird, that, isn't it? In Bolo.
You don't want to be in Bolo, we want to be...
I'm not that way inclined. I mean, I'm not bothered about other people being that way inclined.
I'm not in the mood for it.
I'm not that way inclined of being in Bolo. Anyway,
being in his essence. In his essence.
Yeah, because this place is called the Zenden, and we need to talk. Maybe let's talk about some hippie shit. Maybe.
Yeah.
Hippie shit, meditation, mindfulness. You've been on a
the flotation tank.
Flotation tank.
We
talked about that in the first podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't know what
I talked about it. What's your view on the flotation?
I think it could be used different ways. So like you said when we were talking, I think a lot of people probably use it to kind of soothe muscles, like sports therapy. So essentially, if people didn't listen to the first podcast, you jump into a giant egg. It looks like something off like Superman would have kind of got out of when he crashed to Earth. And it's filled with water. It's got lots of salt in there. You kind of close it when you get into it. You float, and it's pitch black. So you cut off all your senses, essentially, kind of cut off. And you're just lying there, just on top of the water, kind of totally, kind of weightless, essentially. You close your eyes if you want, but if you don't, it's still pitch black, isn't it? It's like literally you can't see a thing. And I guess it's soothing because there's Epsom salts in there and they can help soothe muscles, so that can be something you can use it for. I think for me, it was very relaxing. I remember kind of just letting, like we just said there, just letting my head dance to where it went. So it was really about like just seeing where my mind went. I didn't really drift off anywhere. I think the last 30 minutes I was just asleep, and then that music woke me up at the end. So it was lovely. Yeah. And I don't really get naps in the daytime these times. So it was nice to take advantage of it.
And it's weird, isn't it? Because like even if you nap in a place like that, because I remember speaking to the owner and he was saying that some people are concerned about like if they fall asleep they're going to drown.
I had that thought.
You can't. Because you can't turn over because you're literally just floating.
I had that thought. I thought, what if I drown? What if other people have drowned? I wonder if anybody else has drowned in the world in one of these tanks. Imagine finding someone drowned in the tank. So I was kind of going off that for a little while. Yeah. And I was thinking, I'm kind of just thinking about weird stuff now. So then again,
that's all you're left with, though, isn't it? You're literally left with. For anyone who hasn't done it, it's basically in America they call them sensory deprivation tanks, which basically you're just left with hardly no. You kind of have a sense of touch, don't you? You can still feel that, but everything else is pretty much maybe, well, not so much really, because I thought, well, your sense of hearing would go, but your internal,
you become in tune.
Become in tune with like what's going on internally. Yeah. All I could hear was my heartbeat. I could hear a pulse behind my neck. Yeah. And in my ear, and then like you said,
your breath as well. You're aware of your breathing rate as well. So it's like really, even if like if anybody's done any breathing exercises, it's kind of really powerful when all you've got is that sound of your voice. Because I guess when you teach mindfulness, you get people to kind of really notice the breath, notice kind of the in breath, the out breath, where you can't escape it then because there's nothing else distracting. If you're doing it in a session, you've got the person in the room that's teaching you, you've got traffic outside the door, you've got people walking around, you've got the ambience of life, haven't you? So you really need to work hard where that's it.
You were left with your mind and your body, aren't you? To the point where it almost felt like I said to the owner, do you know I need to get his name because we could get him on the podcast.
Bring him in. Yeah.
And it felt weirdly like when you're breathing as though you're an astronaut. That breathing sound of being in like a, because you can just hear it internally.
Yeah.
But my mind wondered at one point I wonder if this feels like in utero. Because you float.
It's going back to that, isn't it?
It's utter darkness.
Yeah.
And you're just in this floaty, amniotic big sack of fluid. Yeah. But it's a big plastic thing rather than a womb.
I suppose as a baby, you've got literally, there's no thought because you've never witnessed anything to develop any train of thought, have you? So they are completely mindful creatures, aren't they? They're very much completely in the moment. So I guess it's trying to harks back to that, isn't it? Of just being in that state of just.
And I reckon if I said to him on Monday when I went, is 1 hour wasn't enough. He said, we can sort out a few. Sometimes he goes in for 2, he said.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to go in for at least 2, maybe 3 hours.
Yeah, you'd be very wrinkly.
You wouldn't? Oh, well, I suppose you would, yeah.
Yeah.
The bottom half of your body would, but because your
Yeah,
top half
but
of
we
your
did
body
like half of you, because obviously half of your body's out the water, half of the body's under the water, very much like a ship. So like your bum, your back of your head just be all wrinkly, and you just the smooth like front bit. No, I would definitely do it again. I would definitely recommend it. And it's like, for what? I mean, it's cheap as well, isn't it? It's not, a lot of these kind of things that you go for, like these kind of new age type therapies and stuff, it can be quite expensive.
Yeah, and it is quite cheap.
When it's a big pit of kit, like, I thought that must cost a lot of money, that tank.
Yeah.
They won't be cheap.
And he's done it out really, really, it's proper professional looking, isn't it? The whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
And you think, yeah, it is relatively cheap for it, because it's a therapy session, isn't it? You would what most people pay for a therapy session, between 30-40 quid an hour.
Yeah.
It's,
well, you can pay 100 quid for a sports massage, so it's half the price of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's I would similar in its effect of like feeling like I needed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, really good. Yeah, we'll have to get him on one time. So I suppose he'll know a lot more than us about kind of flotation. We only know it through our own experiences, but he'll know
the science behind
the
the
science.
reason. Yeah.
So if we get him on, we could even go down there.
Yeah, we could do it in the flotation tank with just waterproof all our
But
kit.
all this would be like
cling film it up.
Maybe all this would be this lights is going off all the time.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the battery's running out. It's a battery powered one, you see.
Oh right.
Maybe needs to
Give
charge
it
it
more
up.
energy.
It's quite good though.
Yeah,
Change
it's
the
cool.
lights.
To go different colours, or just go like different oh yeah. That's good, isn't it? Be cooler like when it's dark.
Yeah.
Like pitch black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't believe the amount of light fairy lights pump out. Because when this gets dark in here, it doesn't get darker when they're on.
So, being mindful of the podcasters, Alan's got a string of fairy lights that kind of go around the beams at the top of the shed.
It's not a shed.
I keep on saying shed, Alan.
It's a house.
The stigma.
I suppose it is. It's a fancy shed, really, isn't it? Shenzhen? Isn't that a place in China?
No, I don't know. But yeah, in his Zen shed, he has got lovely little lights, and that's pretty much all the light that's in here, and it's enough, isn't it?
Yeah, once it gets dark, you don't really need any more.
Yeah. Nice big windows.
Nice windows. I've got 2 Buddhas in the corners. I've got lots of books which represent kind of spiritual and personal growth, I suppose, just to add to the flavour. On the wall is Sim for Mind over in the corner there, which is my business outside of kind of the NHS, kind of doing loads of stuff in schools for well-being and stuff and meditation and what have you. And then a big tree of life to our left, which behind it is a door.
A doorway to another realm?
No, just next door's garden.
Oh,
yeah,
which is essentially another realm.
It is,
the
yeah,
same,
I suppose it is.
Same dimension.
She doesn't know that the doorway is there.
Why'd you go there?
Because she's got like small, lovely...
Be careful.
Chocolate fountains.
What, in a garden?
In a garden at the bottom.
Oh, you just go and like open the door and you run through naked and play like a little pixie.
No, that's too far. I'll just lick the chocolate fountain.
The chocolate fountains and then come back.
I've heard that in my head, and that could be interpreted as many, many things.
Lick the chocolate fountain.
Chocolate fountain.
That's something you want to encourage your kids to do as they grow older, would you?
Well, I don't
Go
know.
on, kids, lick the chocolate fountain.
Well, as a euphemism, but if you take it literally, he's just licking a chocolate fountain, aren't you?
Yeah, but the spin round, you might get your tongue caught in them.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Breathing. We've gone off.
So we have.
Let's bring ourselves back
to the present conversation.
to the breath. Any facts you know about? I tell you what was a fact the other day. Oh, I forgot it now.
We should have a segment, and people can come up with ideas, which would be good, about different segments for the podcast. But we should have a segment on facts.
Yeah.
Fact of the week.
Well, even just interesting facts around.
Because I love facts.
I do. You've watched that Down to Earth with Zac Efron on Netflix. If anyone hasn't watched it, then watch it because it's quite informative. And the fact that stuck in my head, it's got nothing to do with mindfulness or anything, is apples, how they originate from
Middle East,
Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
and how
one tree.
In America it was used as when the imported it used as cider.
Prohibition, alcohol.
And the whole apple a day keeps the doctor away was because they were drinking cider and eat the apple instead. That makes you more healthier.
Trying to promote
fascinating,
the apple.
isn't it? How little kind of phrases come from.
Yeah.
And it's weird how I wonder why facts stick in your head like that.
A fact that stuck in my head, which again has nothing to do with anything that the podcast would ever promote, is the fact that China in the last 10 years have produced more concrete in building than America did in the 21st century.
Bloody hell.
That's a lot of building work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of hard hats.
A lot of heat. You think, big inner cities where it's like mega hot, isn't it? It's all because of concrete, isn't it?
They built this is something like 15 megacities in the last 10 years or something. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Good old China.
Good old China.
So there's 2 facts. But maybe if we try to do a segment, we'll have a really good fact.
We'll do some research and then what we'll do is we'll pick a fact and then really discuss the fact and see where the fact goes.
And try and disprove the fact or fact check it.
Here's a fact for you. Do you remember Fact from? Do you remember when you used to watch videos and films in the 90s?
Yeah.
I don't think they don't see it now on because it's all Netflix and streaming. Fact was Federation Against Copyright Theft.
Yes, it was.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
It just put when we were saying fact loads,
and
all I had was the visual thing of fact.
I think everyone who watched that felt a little bit guilty for no real reason.
No, I've got this on copy.
Probably because you got it on copy, yeah. But even if you hadn't, you'd still feel a little bit like, I feel guilty because this is up now, and I might go to prison for.
There'll be some people who'll be thinking, what's a copy, or what's fact.
Yeah.
So young people probably won't know that you could rent a video. Do you remember you could if you had two videos?
From a bloke's car, he used to drive around the estate in the back of his boot, and he'd have videos. Did you have that?
Yeah. So you could rent a video, an original video, VHS, and if you had 2 VHSs, VHS recorders for the young ones, is you hook them up together, you get a blank tape, you put the blank tape in one, and you play the video in the other and press record on the blank tape, and then you've got a recording.
The problem was it never was really 4K quality at the other end, was it?
I suppose what. Do you remember, if it wasn't so televisions back then weren't the best, were they? But you used to turn the brightness up.
Yeah.
So it made it look a little bit better.
Opening scene in Jurassic Park, I've been watching a dodgy copy on a videotape, and it's where the first scene is dark, it's at night, and they're loading the velociraptor into the cage, and something goes wrong and the guy gets eaten by it, and it's all dark, and you can't see a thing, all you can hear is I was like, there's a tree, that's a tree.
Yeah, the only thing you could see on really bad copies was when it was in bright sunlight. Everything else it was almost like a sound recording of the film.
And ironically, any dodgy copy that you get when you're 12 or 13 is probably some weird horror film, which is dark all the way through, so you can't see a thing. Watching Hellraiser on a VHS copy, you're not going to see.
I wonder if any young people actually watch VHS these days on the old 21-inch portable televisions.
I don't think it would be very fun, would it? Because you can watch all them movies now on Netflix.
Yeah, but I suppose vinyl's coming back in. All you young ones are doing that, aren't they? So why not bring the VHS back?
It's a bit like your old Nintendo Entertainment Systems, isn't it? And stuff. Everyone's going back to that now, aren't they? Even though the graphics are debatable.
Yeah, but it was all about the gameplay.
It was.
Breathing. Our minds wandered off. Let's bring it back to the breath. Give me a fact about the breath.
We've given 2 breath facts. 1, if you stop, you die. 1, if you continue, you live.
We need to look for breath facts. I should know some breathing facts
Well,
because
you won't know breathing fact, but you'll know how breathing affects the body and how it affects the mind and how you can anchor to the breath and stuff like that.
What about
scientific breath facts? I don't know how many there is.
Well, Wim Hof, he'd know. Because he's pretty good with the breath stuff, isn't
Would he know scientific facts about the breath, or would he just go do this?
Well, I went on his website and yeah, there's a lot of stuff on breathing and the whole kind of physiological response to breathing and all that type of stuff. So I'm probably sure. Let's go on his YouTube channel, I suppose, and he'll have a lot of stuff. We do know that
obviously if you regulate your breathing, that's why deep breaths work, because it affects your central nervous system, doesn't it? Your central nervous system elicits if you're in stress or in distress, in fight or flight mode, it elicits your body to breathe fast, to get more oxygen, to get you ready and prepared to fight or flight. So if you then regulate your breathing and slow down your breathing, it's having that opposite feedback. So then the brain goes, you're breathing slow, I'll calm that down, and your amygdala calms down, and the body settles.
And there's the whole like vagus nerve stuff, isn't it? So like you said there with the nervous system, I suppose the whole thing around when we breathe out we feel calm, it literally activates the vagus nerve. So a vagus nerve is attached to your brain and then is attached to every single major organ in your body. So when you breathe out, then that tones the vagus nerve and then sends that message to your lungs, your heart, it's safe, you're okay, and then that's why we feel kind of nice and calm and relaxed when we breathe out.
And it's probably, I think about teaching people any basic way to kind of reduce stress in life. The first thing I would do anyway, but you should do really, is talk about the breath. You can get massive results just by changing and regulating your breath.
Yeah.
Slowing your breath down, just even for a couple of minutes a day.
Well, there's a thing, isn't it, that I sent you yesterday about for anyone wants to get into meditation or kind of breathing techniques or whatever. There's a thing going on at the moment. It's been going on for quite a few years. It's called the Heart Math Institute, and it's doing some research around the more we focus our breath and focus it through our heart. So bring the attention to our heart as we're breathing. So breathing in through our heart and out through our heart is we create heart-brain coherence. And when that happens, we create a better magnetic field around us, which then creates social coherence. So when you're in...
feel more connected.
Yeah, you feel, I suppose when you're in... We'll all know, won't we, when we are around a calm person. So they've got a magnetic field which is calm, which then interacts with our magnetic field. So then it creates social coherence. So the idea of what Heart Math Institute's going to do is the more people that do it together, you don't have to be together but actually at the same time, it creates global coherence. And when you've got that going on, then you basically it affects the magnetic pull of the earth and the magnetic pull of the sun and fascinating stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I don't think there's some truth in that, like anecdotally, when you think about, I guess that only really you can see that what we do at work, and when you go in and when you're calm, or when there's people in the office that are calm, things tend not to kind of go into crisis as much, do they? Or you can, and I suppose it's that easy, if you work with people that are in distress, if you're calm, it calms them. And you could go, well, that's the reading body language and the mirroring and stuff, but I definitely think there's something in that energy. If you bring anxious energy into a room or angry energy into a room, that other person will kind of feed off that. If they're angry already, it'll just escalate the situation.
Well, they've done some research, didn't they, in America? I think it was with the NYPD to measure stress levels around toxic people. So, and how they've done it was when certain police officers were around other police officers that they found toxic in some way, whether it was bullying or whether it was just negative people. They measured the sweat levels. So when they were around people who they felt calm and kind of joyful and all that type of stuff, the cortisol level in the sweat was lower. But when they were around people who were toxic or stressful or angry, then the cortisol levels were higher in the person that was, not the person that was giving out the stress, the person that was receiving it. Or just being in the room, so they weren't kind of saying anything to them.
Something in that we're social creatures. We used to live in small social groups. So when you needed to be stressed, it made sense for the whole group to feel that at the same time. So if you're ready to be attacked, everyone has that same kind of emotion. And the same, if you need to be relaxed, that the whole group became relaxed, and you were one unit. You were like symbiotic. And I guess we have that now, don't we, in offices and in teams.
It's a good old phrase, isn't it, of like you can cut the atmosphere with a knife. You walk into a room, you either feel calm without you knowing, or you think, what's been going on in here? And you don't even know what's going on, but you can feel it straight away.
Go as far as, you look at priests when they go into the haunted houses and people go, there's a horrible atmosphere in here, I feel like I'm being watched, there's things happening, the whole family is stressed. They go in and do something that's quite calming, whether it's waving incense or doing a prayer, and they're a calm, relaxed person. Are they just changing the atmosphere, the electromagnetic field that's kind of around it changing because of their influence?
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
All I've got in my head now is when we went on a ghost hunt years ago, and I was telling Kate, my wife, for the viewers and the listeners. So we went on this ghost hunt. It was Hartlepool gun battery, wasn't it?
Oh, right, the Bruff.
Yeah.
Hartlepool Bruff.
And basically we were in the dark, and we had mediums and paranormal investigators with us, and our friend Jeff. Hiya, Jeff, if you're listening. And he felt a tug on the back of his clothes, didn't he? And then he shouted my name. He said, Alan, I'm going. And then he fainted. And then we didn't know at the time, did we, that later on the medium kind of done a reading on him. Said, yes, the spirit has definitely passed through you. But what we found out hours later, that was just another two of our mates tugging on the bottom of his jeans.
Yeah. Because I felt it, and then the guy who it was turned to me afterwards, after it all calmed down, and Jeff had been exercised. He was like, so I did that. And do you feel a tug? Yeah.
It totally ruined it, didn't it? It ruined the energy.
I wanted it so much to be a ghost that had gone through him and like tried to possess him, and it wasn't. It was just a daft 20-year-old lad playing silly buggers. So, but that was like, very quickly there was mass hysteria in that circle. It was dark. We were kind of sensorily impaired. We did, so our other senses were very heightened.
And it was pitch black, wasn't it? You couldn't see anything.
Touch and sound were very heightened senses at that time. We were primed because we were told that the place we were going to was haunted. There was a child in there that touched people.
Yeah.
So that's massive priming, isn't it, already? And it just took one person to touch somebody else, and boom.
Yeah,
the floodgates opened, didn't it? And it was, and then everyone started panicking, and then we got rushed out, and he pulled him out, dragged him by his dragged him by his head almost, and then his arms and legs. I think he got carried out like a stretcher. He almost, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, they carried him out. Yeah.
All just, I mean, looking at it.
It was mass hysteria.
We all got bought into it.
It was funny though. Yeah. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but you can see how people can buy into it in groups, because you see this like these cults and stuff that kind of have this belief that some sun god's going to come down and rescue them all. And we're all so much in it, aren't they? Because everyone believes it at that time. And for that one moment, we if you'd have interviewed us a couple of seconds after he started to go and turn like he did, would have all been pretty sure was something supernatural was going on.
Totally.
But afterwards, 10 minutes when the bloke turns around and says it's just me being stupid.
Oh, drop me mic.
Oh,
the breath. We've gone off on one. Our mind wandered to past memories of spiritual conquests through many bahaunted houses and stuff. Do you remember that time?
Did a lot.
My mind's wandered again. I brought the breath
it's interesting.
back, and my mind's wandering again.
It's an interesting place to go to.
Yeah. We went, for all you people out there, we went on a lot of ghost hunts, didn't we?
Good
20?
Yeah, I'm going to say.
We first started out kind of doing it for charity, didn't we? And we did have paranormal investigators and mediums with us.
Which again, probably looking back, was probably kind of not helpful, because again, you're primed to thinking when they're telling you stuff.
Well, we should have had just paranormal investigators, the science, but we had a medium as well, priming us for all sorts of stuff, which was fun.
But it was an experience, wasn't it, in itself.
And I would recommend anyone, if you want a night out, just go on a night out for a ghost hunt, or just stay in a house and stay up all night and don't drink any alcohol, and just be sleep deprived. Because do you remember that time in we were going down to Pontefract for that one?
It was a psychiatric kind of mental.
No, that was near.
Oh no,
that was near Leicester.
Oh, that was, wasn't it?
The one in Pontefract was a pub.
Yeah, it was.
And I remember coming, and it wasn't a very good hunt, that one, was it? And I remember coming back, and we were all very sleep deprived. And I think you were driving, and it was about 5:30 in the morning.
It's probably not the best thing to do.
And we were sick, like proper, all sorts of songs going on in the car, just to keep ourselves awake.
But you get there giggly, don't you? And it's fun. It is fun because you are, like, I think part of it, if you go down a ghost hunt and you sleep deprived and you're doing it all night, you're probably going to experience some weird stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because your brain's going to play tricks with you. But it was funny as well. And it was just good exploring a random establishment, like an old pub or a castle or whatever it might be. You just had your little free roll.
Well, I remember the one. We used to make videos as well, didn't we? Like documentaries on it. Unfortunately, I kind of lost them. But I remember one in... it was up near Chesley Street, wasn't it, near Durham? And we found this old hall, and they had loads of instruments out the back, didn't they? And there was a stage, and then what we basically done was create an Irish dance on the stage, remember it? Just kept us entertained for hours. Yeah, it was funny.
That was a bit weird.
The breath,
Why did we get to that conversation?
Have you ever heard of I'm bringing it back to the breath, but I'm also bringing it back, and this might be educational, I suppose, the association train. And it's taught in mindfulness. It's probably taught in like CBT and all that type of stuff. And it's basically for how your mind associates one word or one feeling, and it kind of just takes it to the next and to the next and to the next. And the whole point of meditation is to recognise that you're on an association train, and then just come back to the station. So sometimes I've played the game with patients before when the minds are wandering off all the time and stuff. Basically you just pick a word, association game, and see how far away from the word you can get in 30 seconds. So I'll pick a word. Ball. What do you associate ball with?
Football.
Football. What do you associate football with?
Middlesbrough Football Club.
Middlesbrough Football Club.
Nearly relegated.
Nearly relegated.
EFL's dodgy.
Dodgy.
Dodgy. The whole world's dodgy at the minute.
The whole world's dodgy at the minute. Why?
There's a huge global pandemic.
A global pandemic. What's happening?
We are all going to die.
Why are we going to die?
Because of a virus that's been potentially released and created somewhere in a laboratory.
Where's it been created?
I don't want to say anything more because it's a podcast.
Going. No, it's your mind wandering. Keep going. Where's it being created?
In a laboratory, and they are trying to fight some kind of crazy disease, but I'm worried that it might turn into a disease that turns people into a zombie.
Zombies?
A zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yep, and then we'll be the only survivors.
Stuck in here.
Stuck in here, and the windows aren't really suitable for a zombie.
Right, stop you there. That was less than a minute, and look where your mind wandered to.
Yeah.
And it's a good exercise, isn't it? We started with ball,
zombie
attack. And we ended up on a zombie attack within 30 seconds. And you think, that's how powerful the mind is when it wanders off.
That's how quickly a zombie apocalypse could happen.
True, in 30 seconds. Can you imagine though, we look out there right now and everyone's just walking around as zombies.
That'd be weird.
But the point in the story is basically we both work in jobs where people have psychosis and have delusional ideas. We got to ball to zombie apocalypse within 30 seconds.
And we know, exactly.
Now, can you imagine someone sat alone without the focus of a mind for months and years, letting the minds wander off?
That's how fixed delusional and paranoid
that's how it all forms, doesn't it?
Exactly, they kind of go from a normal belief system to
I suppose sometimes meditation, mindfulness, is a way of training your mind not to wander that far out, because getting that far out, it's almost like Inception. The dream levels, you get too far in the levels, there's no coming back, is there? You sit on your own for 5 years wondering about stuff that started with ball. Where's your mind gone after that length of time?
The problem is with that is that if you don't challenge it, because we always need our beliefs challenging to set them into known reality. So I did this the other day with one of the students. I said about how a delusional belief occurs. So you might get a guy that is mildly anxious, and then he gets more paranoid about the world. So he starts to think, don't really want to go outside. He feels a bit unsafe. Don't know why, but it just feels unsafe. And then he kind of thinks, I don't really like those cars that are going past, red cars. I don't feel very good. Well, I don't feel very good around red cars. Maybe there's somebody in the red cars that are looking at me. Maybe some people in the red cars are monitoring me. Maybe the people in the red cars have something to do with the government. Or yes, it's definitely the government. It's Secret Service, and they're monitoring me because I've got information that they can prevent a worldwide takeover from the Illuminati. And it just goes from being paranoid to just that belief system. And no one's challenging me. No one's saying, maybe it's just red cars and it's a coincidence you're spotting them because you're anxious about red cars for whatever reason. No one's challenging that belief early on, and it creates and becomes fixed.
Yeah.
And then once it's fixed, it's quite hard to then really track back.
Oh yeah, it's like trying to tell a pope that, you know, Jesus was not the Son of God.
Yeah. Or tell the pope he isn't the pope.
Or tell you that you're not Richard. Can you imagine though? Sometimes I use that example at work for students is, you know, when they say, oh, that person's really like mad and how can they believe that type of thing? Can you imagine if I said to you right now, your wife and child are not your wife and child? You'd be adamant. And it's only you only believe, that's your belief that your wife and child are your wife and child. But if 10 people came to you tomorrow and said, I'm sorry, this was all an experiment, and they're not your family.
Well, I'm only married because I believe I'm married and everybody around me believes I'm married. Money is only has cost to it because we believe it has cost to it. If we stop believing in money,
then what happens? What would happen to
everything's held together by belief systems?
Everything. Without removed belief, and then that's it. What happens?
Because
humanity would fall apart, wouldn't it? We would cease to be the intelligent form of life that we are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because of belief.
Yeah.
And yet,
somebody, I was watching a thing on YouTube the other day, and it was about kind of this ego and self, and that there's no real true self. So you have a belief in who you are as a person, made up of what you know about yourself, but there'll be a person walking down the street that look at you and have their own image of you, and that in their reality is their image of you. Might be, well, he looks a bit cocky, you don't like him, or he's well dressed or whatever. People around you that you know, like friends, will have a certain belief about who you are as a person, and in their reality, you are that person.
Yeah.
But your wife will have a totally different opinion, or slightly different opinion. Again, to her, you are that person. But that's different to how you will see your person. There's no one true Alan, there's no one true Richard.
That's really weird that you've said it, because just before you said that, I had in my head the guy that kind of thought of that thing. I was watching a podcast last night, and it was Jay Shetty.
Yeah,
he's a monk. Like, he's got a book out soon called "Think Like a Monk" or something, and he talks about this. I think it was in the 30s or 40s. No, it was in the 1800s or something. He said. I'll have to kind of get the name of the guy, and basically what it is it's a saying where I am who you think I am. So in your presence, I am the person that you think I am supposed to be. So I will then be that person, and when I'm around someone else, I will be that person who they think I think. So all we're doing is just basically going around thinking, oh, that person thinks I'm good, so I'll be good. So we're then believing that we're good because we think that they're thinking that. And it's just this constant loop, and we're never really probably truly ourselves.
Because what is ourselves? Because again, we have our own beliefs about who we are, but that's different to what other people believe. So who's right, who's wrong? There's no right or wrong, is there?
Weird stuff.
So good way just to kind of let go of the ego, though, isn't it? I suppose a little bit.
Or just sit in a flotation tank. Yeah, your ego will just like be screaming out and go, get with me senses.
I'll sit in a flotation tank with some ayahuasca and just go for it. Just see what happens.
It's all illegal in this country, though, isn't it? Kind of. I mean, it was on. You'd have watched the Down to Earth, wouldn't you? On the last episode, they talked about kind of plant medicines, and it's like, it's unfortunate, isn't it, that these plant medicines have been
probably some of
illegal and made into Class A drugs.
I think, yeah, that's what's happened, hasn't it? So cocaine and cannabis are not good for you. In the present moment, certainly I can't see cocaine ever being good for you because it's very much a chemically processed drug that causes billions of pounds of damage and kills people and causes all sorts of horrors. Cannabis is a plant, but it's heavily manufactured at the minute, isn't it? It can cause lots of problems. We work in a psychosis service. We know that there's certain chemicals, THC, in cannabis that can elicit psychotic type symptoms. But it's a plant essentially that's been grown and used for medicinal purposes for hundreds, if not thousands
of years. Yeah.
And I know there's places like Canada that kind of have shops where they sell it, and they have their THC and CBD count or percentage on each product they have. And they do say eventually, because the cannabis plant that you see now, the illegally grown ones as well, they're not the original cannabis plants. They're like, it's like dogs. It's like there's that many species now.
These breeds of it.
Yeah. So eventually they'll breed a cannabis plant that's 100% safe, that isn't going to cause any issues and only has the good bits to it.
Yeah.
So that'll be the point where it probably becomes legalised everywhere. Whereas now
But then it's like
you've got lots of hybrids, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think they all these plant medicines get bad names, but you think it's the good old setting situation, isn't it? Where unfortunately, a lot of young people smoke cannabis, and the reasons for it are to escape their reality.
Yeah.
And you think probably a good reason for taking cannabis is to heighten your creation, heighten your creativity. You know, a lot of artists and musicians take cannabis before they write music or make a piece of art, because it opens them up to a higher creative realm.
Relaxes everything and kind of allows creative flow.
But unfortunately, sometimes it's people who've been traumatised or escaping their own kind of inner selves, aren't there? And you think, is that the right use of cannabis? Is it the right use of magic mushrooms and ayahuasca? And
if you went to a job interview for, I don't know, a corporate business or something, or a bank or something, and you said that you smoked weed, you wouldn't get a job, would you?
No. But if you went to a weird Californian creative company,
surfing teacher,
they'd
be like, you don't smoke weed?
You'd get a job straight away, wouldn't you? So, I smoked 10 joints a day.
Yeah.
You're in.
Yeah. Just, it's stigma, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there is, I think things will change. But there's a lot of research into that side of things now, isn't it? Into plant medicine.
Well, yeah, the Imperial College of London are doing tons of research around psilocybin and ayahuasca and how it kind of opens up the door to trauma, and how you can kind of process it
Ecstasy
easier.
has been used for trauma therapy in like some of the Norwegian, I think, cities and stuff have been using it in certain kind of like institutions. Yeah, there's because it was I think in the 1950s when they first started to understand that there was plants from South America that were eliciting these strange experiences in tribes. They were doing a lot of research, and then the Cultural Revolution.
And then the Beatles spoiled it, didn't they?
60s, yeah.
Well, they didn't spoil it. They opened it up, and then governments thought, "Oh, we can't let people think for themselves," and then suddenly made things illegal, and so it's bad for you.
But a lot of Beatles songs were made under the influence of LSD. Lucy and the Sky Diamonds. Yeah, LSD, exactly. So
it's a shame, really, because I watched something a while back, and it was the pioneers of psilocybin therapy, or well, LSD and all your other kind of plant medicines in the 50s and the 60s. I think it was Terence McKenna, who's now died, but his brother's kind of taken up the baton of trying to get kind of plant medicines as a therapy. Yeah, getting into the mainstream and stuff.
That's how we probably treat ourselves for thousands of years. It's plants that are around you heal, don't they?
Yeah.
Plants that harm, plants that heal.
Yeah, well, you're getting stung by a nettle. What's next to a nettle?
Yeah,
a dock leaf. We need to kind of be in tune a little bit more to nature.
Well, nettle soup. Get stung by a nettle, just have some nettle soup, nettle tea.
Yeah.
Get stung by a nettle, have some nettle tea. Although I don't think it'll get a nettle sting away. It's nice warming tea.
It'll distract you away from the sting, won't it?
Yeah.
We've covered a lot there, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the last 45 minutes, we've gone on a roller coaster. This is basically Imagine if this was a meditation session. This is basically what our mind's done. It's wandered off many places and come back at certain points.
We've had
So
a
the breath.
theme through it, the breath, but we've kind of wandered off, so we've just basically talked about what is
the mind?
mindfulness and
What is the... Well, I suppose in one way, it's an example. It's an external example of what the mind does internally. And at times, we've hopefully taught our listeners and our viewers that this is all right. As long as you've got some sort of insight and awareness into... I'll bring that back now for a little while and let it wander again.
You need to let your mind wander, because that's where creation is, isn't it? That's where discovery is. Every invention, every kind of eureka moment was, Newton sat there letting his mind wander and seeing an apple drop. Gravity. He'd let his mind wander. If he didn't let his mind wander and he's very much in the present,
Nothing would happen.
Apple drop,
Yeah.
and I'm very much there, and that was a nice apple that has just dropped by.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have discovered gravity.
No. I need to lend you the book, and it's called Biology of Belief, and I've said it a few times, but it's an absolute game changer of how it kind of changes your perception. And how I understand it, and the guy, Bruce Lipton, who's the epigeneticist guy, and basically, and a lot of Silicon Valley companies have now took up this. So it's based in quantum science, which is not a new thing, but it's sounding new, but it's over 100 years old, and it's the most proven science out there. And basically, what Bruce Lipton's kind of discoveries were, I think it was in the 80s, kind of epigenetics, and how the cell membrane of each cell, everyone just thought it was just a membrane, but what it basically is it's a receptor, it's an antenna. So what we think, as we have all the intelligence and memory inside of us, we don't have any of that inside of us. We have receptors and antennas, so like TV aerials, and all the energy outside of us, as in quantum physics, that's where all the information, everything is stored, your memories, ideas, and the more you tap into, the more antenna you create, your neurons, your cell membranes, is that taps into the information field around us. So the idea being is when people have these eureka moments, it's information from the field. You're not getting it from. So Silicon Valley companies now are creating chips which are endless. So there's no, like a memory card now it's got 5 gig on. It's actually on the card. Where these new memory chips, they're just little antennas that is never-ending information, so they access the information from the quantum field. Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like Elon Musk. He's got this neural link.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't. Yeah. It's scary, isn't it? Where it's going to go. We're all probably going to end up part machine, aren't we?
Well, are we all going to end up like a weird hive humanity? The ones that opt into neural link,
which is quite a religious.
Will you have
concept, isn't it?
But will you have your own thought?
Yeah.
But would you have the dangers of that? Would be someone else is controlling that. Another human is controlling that. You're not controlling it. Where, if you look, say a good example would be kind of swift birds, or is it swallows?
I think you've got something on your roof there.
It maybe is a swift bird, maybe. Yeah. And how they move together, don't they? So when you see masses of certain birds, they move together, don't they? It's the hive mind. But that's all of them working together at the same time. But neural link, there'll be someone clicking a button, and you think they can control you rather than it being a collective, being in collective flow, so no one really controls anything. That's more likely to be there's a couple of people in a building somewhere controlling what you think.
Yeah, that's quite
which is a bit dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like they're God then, aren't they? And they're the rulers of all.
So no, I don't think I'll be getting neural link in my brain.
Even if it's like Apple, they're like the latest Apple product.
No. I think we said it a while back. A really good idea, and please, any listeners or viewers, don't steal this idea because it's an amazing idea for a film, isn't it? So how humanity will break into two categories and it'll be a war. So it'll basically, it's like a really good futuristic film. The tech's So all the people that latch on to become androids and like against the organics. So then you've got like
Purely organic.
yeah, so they live in the trees and they live in nature, and then you've got all these techs who kind of live, you know,
They've all got like attachments to them and like have limbs that are actually like cybernetic and the brains.
How good would that be for a film?
Yeah,
Copyright, by the way, so it's now recorded. If anyone steals this idea, we can sue you for it.
But also, if and on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, if there's any budding screenwriters,
just let us know, because I think that would be an amazing film.
but we'd want us to be the main stars in the film.
Yeah, we would be. Would you be part of the text, or would you be the organics?
We could be like, I don't know. Would you?
Or would it be like we invent? So we both say, oh, you know, the world should be technologically advanced with an organic.
So we come in at the end of the film and save and bring them all together.
Or one of us breaks off, so you become the organics and I become the techs.
Yeah.
And then there's two battles, or vice versa.
I'm sure this project will never get off the ground.
I think we should. Maybe now it's out there. Now it's literally out there. This idea. I maybe think we should contact someone.
Yeah. Spielberg or what kind of director?
Steven Spielberg. If you're watching,
sounds like a Spielberg project.
Then I'm not a very good screenplay writer, but you know we're good at ideas.
Yeah. Just not the person who wrote Justice League.
No, more Marvel. That would be a good.
Christopher Nolan.
Or I tell you, no, not J.J. Abrams or the other guy. M. Night Shyamalan would make a really good version of it. Quite a dark side, twisty, dark stuff at the end, maybe.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan, if you are listening, then
it probably is.
It's usually. I mean, this podcast is for the stars.
And I know at the end we always got to have a shout out to Karen.
Barbara.
Karen is Barbara's neighbour, sorry. But I think Barbara probably knows M. Night Shyamalan personally.
Yeah. Barbara, if you're listening today, let us know if you know anyone who is a screenplay writer, an author. We could create a book first, maybe, from that idea.
It's always better if the book's first, aren't
Yeah. So if there's a really good author out there, then give us a shout. We'll shot some more ideas in, and then they can kind of bulk it out into a really good book.
Yeah.
Or a series of books like Twilight Saga or the the Hunger Games, Harry Potter's.
Yeah.
Could be 7-8 books of this.
I think we're gonna be.
This is the start. We're going to be millionaires, like Del Boy this time next year. This will be the inception, won't it? Of
There'll be a plaque outside your house. This is where it all started.
Yeah, like Brian Clough in Grove Hill.
They'll knock all the other houses down and you guys come, this will have to stay up because it's a grade 1 listed building.
Yeah.
People will have little tours.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a little museum. This is where all of it started.
Like Graceland.
And it wasn't just a movie, it ended up being reality.
Yeah.
Well, there's that theory, isn't there, of like films and books and ideas is consciousness informing itself through ideas.
It's not an original thought.
No, it's just all out there. It's all out there for someone to receive.
Yeah.
So we don't own anything. We never had that idea. It was sent to us.
Maybe it's just we're just in a matrix and it's just another version that's been uploaded, like 1.2.
Yeah.
So we're in like version 1.3.
It was glitched there. Did you see the
Yeah, that was weird. The benefit of the podcast is Alan did shiver there.
Yeah, just like the cat in the Matrix did.
Yeah.
It was a glitch.
Yeah, making another Matrix, aren't they, as well? Matrix 4. Interesting stuff.
Should we wrap it up now? Because I think this conversation can go on for another 3 or 4 hours.
I think the listeners and the viewers might get a little bit.
And the wrapping up is wrapping up our meditative practice for the evening.
Yeah.
So Barbara, as always, thanks for listening, Barbara. You're a legend in yourself.
You're a lovely woman, and I've always respected you and everything that you've done and how you've approached it.
And I love it how we just say Barbara. So all the Barbaras out there, I don't know how many there is in the world.
I think it's about them. But it's not, it's about Barbara.
It's about Barbara. So you know we mean Barbara. I don't know why I'm looking at that mic, because that one's not even on.
But in another reality,
it will be on.
Yeah, if we believe it enough, it will be.
Yeah, that could be switched on through the power of consciousness and the quantum field.
It is already.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Indeed, and listen again in the near future.
Yeah. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.